episode 495 of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. I will be talking about tonight's WWE Monday Night RAW, which was main evented by Drew McIntyre versus main event Jey Uso. Right here, right now, 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Hello and welcome, Wrestling Fanatics, to episode 495 of 360 Wrestling Fanatic on this Monday night. And as I said in that little preview thing there, we're going to talk about tonight's episode of WWE Monday Night RAW, and I'll see after the recap if there's any news going on in the world of pro wrestling to talk about. But without any further ado, let's get into tonight's episode of the podcast and talk about WWE Monday Night RAW. Raw was live tonight on USA from Salt Lake City, Utah, at the Delta Center. Our commentators tonight, Michael Cole and Wade Barrett. We kick things off on Raw tonight. No intro. We just go to the arena with the live crowd there in Salt Lake City. And they look like they are pretty into the show. And we start off right away with the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, making his entrance into the arena. And he'll be in action to start Raw off tonight against the NXT North American Champion, Dirty Dom, Dominic Mysterio. And this one starts off Rhodes in the ring, gets on the mic as usual, and he says, "So Salt Lake City, what you want to talk about?" He is interrupted at this time, or he says he was interrupted last week, and he wants to talk about main event Jey Uso, and then at this time he is interrupted by the NXT North American Champion Dominic Mysterio. Mysterio comes out on the stage, and once again, even before he can say anything, he is being booed so loud that you can even barely hear a word of his promo. I probably sound like a broken record by now because I probably say it over and over again, but great heel heat by Dominic Mysterio, and probably one of the best heels, not just in WWE, but all of pro wrestling right now. And he says once main event Jey Uso joins the Judgment Day, they will continue to be the most dominant faction in all of WWE. He yells at the crowd a little bit, and he says his mommy, the women's world champion, Rhea Ripley, is not there tonight due to the attack from the returning Nia Jax last week on Raw. No Rhea Ripley tonight. He says after he beats Rhodes tonight, he'll dedicate his victory to Mommy. And Rhodes asked the Salt Lake City crowd if they heard Mysterio. And then the boos get even louder. And Mysterio doesn't even say anything. Not even giving them a chance to yell and scream over him. Rhodes says it seems like he's far more into her than she's into him. He even mentions Steve Urkel and Laura Winslow from Family Matters, which I liked. I was always a big Family Matters fan growing up. So I thought that was definitely a good reference from Cody Rhodes. And Rhodes even says something about Rhea Ripley eyeing main event Jey Uso. And of course, Dom was not happy about that. He says it's not like that at all. They're all family. Once Jey Uso joins the Judgment Day, he'll know what it's like to have a family. A family always has each other's backs. And then we hear the Judgment Day theme song. And the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions Finn Balor and Senior Money in the Bank Damian Priest make their way out to the arena, and they are going to be in the corner of Dominic Mysterio for our opening match on Raw as we go to a commercial break. And at this time in the front row, we also see Dragon Lee sitting in the front row, which next week on NXT, Dominic will be defending the NXT North American Championship against him. I did read something earlier today online that it said that could be possibly seeing a call-up to the main roster for Dragon Lee, which definitely a big fan of Dragon Lee. I've seen him in Impact Wrestling, AEW, of course. Definitely a great worker in the ring. And now it's time for the match. The NXT North American Champion, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, taking on the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, with Damian Priest and Finn Balor in the corner of Dominic Mysterio. And pretty good match here, I thought. Not too long. Cody Rhodes gets the win, pinning Dominic Mysterio with a Cody Cutter. And then he hits the crossroads and he stares down Balor and Priest as well, and he covers Mysterio for the win. So I thought this was a pretty good match. They also had this as a dark match last Friday night after SmackDown went off the air. I thought it could have been a little better though, but still not bad at all. I'd say probably I'll give it 3 out of 5 ring bells for this one. And then Rhodes starts to leave, and then we see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn make their way out to even up the odds. Judgment Day backed off, and then Kevin Owens gets on the mic to talk to Cody Rhodes, and he wants to ask him about him bringing back Jey Uso to Monday Night Raw. Of course, Kevin Owens is not too happy about that. He says a lot of people back in the locker room aren't too happy about that from when he was a part of the Bloodline. Rhodes says that he is well aware of that. All Owens wants is for Rhodes to tell him why he thought it was a good idea to bring Jey Uso to Monday Night Raw. He says a lot of people need to hear it. Rhodes says he agrees with him. He says a lot of people do need to hear it. But there are a lot of people here in the crowd who probably know why. And he says he'll answer Owens' question. But first, he asks the Salt Lake City crowd if they like Jey Uso. And this gets a pretty big pop from the Salt Lake City crowd. And he talks about second chances here. He says Jey is one of the best in the world and deserves a second chance. And Zayn says they should give him a chance to show that he's changed. And Sami Zayn says he doesn't want to pile on. But Owens has always taken a bit more time to warm up to people. Zayn says that he's the opposite. Maybe he trusts too quickly. Still, he says Jey's been through a lot. Or he's been through a lot with Jey. Owens doesn't have to give him a second chance, but Zayn thinks he should. Owens has given him second chances, and vice versa, many of times before. Zayn says because of that, they won the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships in the main event of WrestleMania. That doesn't happen without a second chance. Owens, he says he sees where this is going. If Zayn wants to pretend that Jey Uso is a huge reason why he didn't win the undisputed WWE Universe Championship at Elimination Chamber, he'll do that. He says if Rhodes wants to pretend that Jey Uso wasn't a big reason why he didn't leave WrestleMania as champion, he'll do that. Jey Uso cost him 5 title matches against Roman Reigns. Owens will pretend that Jey Uso is not one shade of eyeliner removed from joining the Judgment Day. Owens says he can't trust Jey Uso, but he does trust Rhodes and Zayn. So he hopes they're right. And Owens walks off. And then we see some replays. And we go to a video package from last week when Nia Jax made her return to WWE, attacking Raquel Rodriguez and Rhea Ripley during the Raw main event last week, attacking both of them and hitting a banzai drop on Rhea Ripley. At this time now, Michael Cole announces that Raquel Rodriguez has suffered whiplash at the hands of Nia Jax. Rhea Ripley is suffering from some bruised ribs, as Dominic said earlier, why she is not on Raw tonight. And next up, we have Kofi Kingston coming out to take on Ivar. And apparently there was some changes to Raw tonight. It was advertised that it was supposed to be a 2 out of 3 falls match, the New Day taking on the Viking Raiders, but that was changed to just a 1 fall singles match, Kofi Kingston versus Ivar with Valhalla in his corner. Not quite sure as of right now what the reason was for this change, but I did see that a little bit ago that there was some of the talent that were pulled from the Raw broadcast tonight, and I'm guessing Xavier Woods and Eric were 2 of those superstars. And after the break, Cole actually did mention that the match was advertised, but not going to happen tonight. I forgot about that. And Adam Pearce actually said that Eric was not medically cleared to compete. So Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, they did rock, paper, scissors. And Kofi Kingston won the chance to face Ivar in this match tonight. And we have Kofi Kingston taking on Ivar with Valhalla in his corner. Not too bad of a match here, as we see Kofi Kingston get the win, pinning Ivar. Nothing real spectacular, but nothing real bad either. I'll give it 2.5 out of 5 ring bells. It was just an okay match. And we get some video packages showing replays of Shinsuke Nakamura attacking Ricochet in the back last week while the World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins was in the ring. And now Jackie Redmond is backstage with Ricochet for a quick interview. And we have next up our match, Shinsuke Nakamura taking on Ricochet. Pretty good match here. They're on the floor and Nakamura gets a chair, but then Ricochet gets it from him, hits him with it, and since the referee sees Ricochet use the chair, the referee has no choice but to disqualify Ricochet. So the winner of the match as a result of a disqualification, Shinsuke Nakamura. Okay, match. Once again, nothing really special here. Had the DQ finish. And I'll give this one 2 out of 5 ring bells. Then after the match, we see the world champion, Seth freaking Rollins, come out through the crowd and attack Nakamura. And they get in the ring. Rollins sets him up for a pedigree. But then Nakamura counters with a body drop. A back body drop, I should say. And Rollins lands on the chair, selling the back injury again. Then they brawl all around ringside. Nakamura slams Rollins onto the commentary table. And then security pulled Nakamura to the back. And then we see the video advertising the 2024 Royal Rumble. Gonna be in Tampa Bay, Florida, January 27th, 2024. And we see some replays with Rollins and Nakamura. Then we have a video package showing Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, them joining forces to team up together, feuding with the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. And Byron Saxton is backstage with the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Green says Baszler and Stark are not a real team. What makes a great team is friendship. But then Niven says they are not friends and asks Green where she is from. She starts to say like England, Ireland, and then finally she says Niven is from Florida. Saxton tells her that Niven is from Scotland. And then, of course, Green pretends like she knew that the whole time. And now we have a non-title match. The WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Chelsea Green and Piper Niven taking on the newly formed team of Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. Stark and Green start off. And this one I thought was not a bad match, but not really much of a match at all. It's interrupted by Nia Jax. And no contest. Really, I'm not... Since this was kind of a... I don't know if I would say a throwaway match, but with the no contest finish, I don't think I'm going to rate this one at all. I don't know if I would really say an incomplete or not, but just not gonna give it a rating. So that match ended in a no contest. And then we see WWE official Adam Pearce on the phone. And then we see Chad Gable, and he asks Pearce how Seth Rollins is. Pearce says he'll be okay. Gable asks Pearce about another Intercontinental Championship match against Gunther. Pearce says it was a career-making performance, but he's got to earn another title shot. Then we see Bronson Reed walk up to him, and he says Gable has to go to the back of the line. Gable says he's made a career out of suplexing big guys like Reed. They get into an argument backstage, and Pearce says they'll have a match next. And then we see about The Rock's return on SmackDown last Friday night, which drew Just a second here. Got a little mixed up on my notes. Okay, there I go. 103 million views on social media. Also, I think it got a pretty big number on Fox as well. And unfortunately, Pat McAfee was there too. Not going to get into that too much tonight, though. And Gable makes his way to the ring with Otis and Maxine Dupree in his corner, taking on Big Bronson Reed. And definitely continue to be impressed by Chad Gable ever since that match against Guthner for the Intercontinental Championship a couple weeks ago. And good match here, though, was actually Bronson Reed getting the win, defeating Chad Gable. I'll say 2.5 out of 5 ring bells for this one. And we see Tommaso Ciampa backstage. He says in life you have to create your own opportunities. Guthner has what he wants and he is going to take it. We see a video package showing Becky Lynch defeating Tiffany Stratton last week on NXT to win the NXT Women's Championship. And the new NXT Women's Champion, Becky Lynch, is in action next. And we see her walking in the back, and she gets a fist bump from Akira Tozawa. And Owens and Zayn are in the back talking about Jey Uso again. He comes up and Owens says it's just a matter of time before he joins the Judgment Day. Owens doesn't trust him. Zayn tries to calm him down. Owens says he won't trust Jey whether he joins the Judgment Day or not. Then Owens walks off. Jey tells Zayn to talk to him. Owens, that is. And next up, the NXT Women's Champion, Becky Lynch, is in the ring. The man has come around to Salt Lake City. She is now the NXT Women's Champion. And she says that wasn't on her bingo card for this year, but you have to take the opportunities as they come. Lynch says she didn't want to be just a Grand Slam champion, even though that's nice. But she also wants to take this title to new heights it's never seen. NXT is about the future and represents hope and dreams. She wants to be the best of the future. She'll be on NXT tomorrow night. But tonight on Raw, she is issuing an open challenge. Sorry about that. I get a little tongue-tied sometimes. Natalya Neidhart answers her challenge and comes out. And they have a match here for the NXT Women's Championship. And we go through a commercial break on this one. Becky Lynch pins Natalya to get the win and retain the NXT Women's Championship. I thought this one was a pretty good match here. Did not expect Natalya to defeat Becky and win the title, but still pretty good match. I'll give it 3.5 out of 5 ring bells. I wouldn't say it was anything really that great or spectacular, but I actually did enjoy the match for what it was. And Adam Pearce is backstage. He's talking with Dragon Lee. And the NXT North American Champion, Dirty Dom, Dominic Mysterio, comes up. He says he lost to Cody Rhodes because Rhea Ripley wasn't there. Mysterio blames Pierce for Rhea's injury because he didn't punish Nia Jax. Mysterio says Dragon Lee's mask reminds him of his deadbeat dad. Dragon Lee says he'll beat him and win the NXT North American Championship on NXT next week. Once again, big fan of Dominic Mysterio as a heel. I think he is doing such a great job right now. Great work as a heel. And then we see Giovanni Vinci come out to the ring now alongside Ludwig Kaiser. And he's going to be taking on Tommaso Ciampa. Ciampa gets the win via submission. Not a bad match. I'll give this match 2.5 out of 5 ring bells. And next up we see the World Heavyweight Champion Seth freaking Rollins backstage. Byron Saxton stops him from an interview. Rollins says he'll do anything to get Shinsuke Nakamura in the ring. Nakamura can name the time, place, and stipulation for this match. Their destinies are now intertwined. Will Nakamura write his legacy, or will Rollins? And we get a video package focusing on main event Jey Uso against Drew McIntyre. And now it is time for our main event of the evening, Uso and McIntyre. Pretty good match here. The Judgment Day, Balor and Priest with Dominic Mysterio get involved. And at one time, both men are down. They get back up and trade some punches back and forth. And McIntyre hits him with the Glasgow Kiss. Jay gets back up with an enziguri and a Samoan drop for a near fall. And at this time, McIntyre rolls out of the ring. He goes out there to recover for a little bit. And then Jay hits a suicide dive. And McIntyre gets a spinebuster and a cover for a 2 count. McIntyre sends Jay into the corner. And then Jay fights back a little bit. And Judgment Day once again getting involved. And Drew McIntyre gets the win, defeating main event Jey Uso. Then after the match, the Judgment Day gets in the ring. And they triple team Jey Uso. I forgot to mention, actually, Jey Uso did super kick Damian Priest off the apron. And McIntyre, they're really teasing this heel turn from him. He is in the aisleway on the ramp, kind of looking like he's thinking about going to the ring and helping out Jey Uso. But instead, he just walks away and goes to the back. He does nothing to help Jay. And then as McIntyre is leaving to go backstage, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes comes out and he runs to the ring to make the save for Jey Uso against the Judgment Day. Rhodes cleans house. And the Judgment Day, they back off and leave as Raw goes off the air. So that was the finish of tonight's WWE Monday Night RAW. And just my opinion, I wouldn't say this was really that great of an episode of Raw. Maybe it was just me, but to me anyway, this episode tonight really kind of dragged. And at one point during the night, I was thinking that it kind of seemed like that it was either at the end or at least close to the end of Raw, maybe close to 11 o'clock. But then when I looked at the time, I saw that it was only around 9:40 p.m. Still a little over an hour left to go. And again, not saying that tonight's Raw was really that terrible of a show, but I just thought that it went by a little too slow, and it did drag a little bit like Raw does sometimes. But the last few weeks or so, like I've talked about, especially a couple of weeks ago, we had that really good episode of Raw. It didn't drag. The last couple of weeks, I was really into Raw for most of the show. But then this week was definitely a little different. Not quite into the episode of Raw as I have been the last few weeks. So I'll give this Raw probably a 7 out of 10 ring bells overall as a whole show. And before I wrap up the podcast, talk about a little bit of news going on in the world of pro wrestling. I saw a report that says CM Punk does not plan to seek legal action against Tony Khan over his firing from All Elite Wrestling, which is probably good, which Tony Khan did have cause to fire him. And also, Volador Jr. suffered a right shoulder injury at CMLL's 90th anniversary show. So definitely want to send him a speedy recovery. Hope he's doing well. And QT Marshall has confirmed that he has reached another agreement with AEW. Of course, QT Marshall is the current Triple A Latin American champion. So that is all of the news I have right now. Thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. It is very much appreciated. If you have any questions or comments, and if you want to leave your feedback on tonight's episode of WWE Monday Night RAW, you can in the comments section right here on Spreaker, YouTube, or whichever podcast app you listen to on. I hope, well, I don't know if I would say hope actually, but as of right now, I'm really not sure if I will be back with a new episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic tomorrow night. It's kind of maybe 50-50 as of right now. Because when Tuesday comes along, I'm not really sure if I'm going to do an episode about NXT or not. But I will be back tomorrow morning for the Tuesday episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. That is definitely a guarantee. So hope you will all be here too for that. But until then, gonna wrap up this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Have a great Monday night, everyone. Until I talk to you in the morning for GMWF, I am Lance and I am a wrestling fanatic.